attempts in my channel. I was using Laravel for this application. Yesterday I wrote a new endpoint that let people to drop a challenge in the middle. So if they decided to drop it, I almost finished it, but there was some issues that were making me want to redo it. After I finished my work, I gave it thought and then I helped to finish it quicker. After this, we are going to change the date columns into date time columns wherever the date is used in the database. This is important because when you are working with the multiple time zones, you can, if you want to convert a date into another date, you need the time information. Without the time information, a date is a date for everyone. So if I quit my challenge today, I'm in GMT plus 5:30. For someone in GMT minus 5:30, that day will be not the same date. So timestamp like up to the seconds. So but when I was designing the database, I did a mistake, like for some columns I used a date, just a year month date, because I thought that is the essential information. Recently I also tweeted about how important that timestamp is for a date database, but when I was doing it for my own app, I forgot that it is important. So yesterday night I realized that and I created a card for that. So we just need to change up, like the idea is you can add one more migration to alter the tables and rerun the migrations, but since I'm in development, I like to keep my migrations to a limited level, since we haven't deployed to really alter the original migrations, and just rerun it, so it will be like a new database and we can start fresh. So I used to do it until I push that app to production, but once your app went to production, you cannot do this. So there is a freedom when you are in development, but you can always tear down and rebuild. Yeah, let's get started. Give me some time. I was trying to add music to streams, but it is we have to come back to that. For now, yesterday I thought of, there is a method called first star fail. I remember I used this okay, it is too slow for my taste. First of all, come on. Yeah, so this is the idea. I want to throw some exception if the given id is not found. For that, there are multiple methods, that find or fail or first or fail. The find or fail method is like a collection. So I think I'm not interested in a collection, I just need that single item. So first or fail will be a better choice. I couldn't remember this method yesterday, so I was keep doing something else. If you see here, I used where. Okay, I used first or fail. So this is the method. So when a user try to drop a challenge, we are getting this request. The user will send his user ID and the user challenge ID. That is the relationship between a user and a challenge. So when you start a challenge, there will be a record created for you in user challenge table that will have that user challenge ID. So I created a validator for that. The user ID must be valid, and the user challenge table ID must be associated with your current user ID. So you cannot mark a challenge that is not created by yourself. So this is where I keep doing the mistake, that like when you want to push something to an array, you have to use the square bracket notion, or you have to use the array underscore push method. But what I was doing is I was doing like dot push in PHP, and I was expecting it to work. This is the correct syntax in JavaScript, but in PHP this is not the syntax. So I was getting a lot of errors related to this, but I couldn't figure out what was the issue, because my mind was fixated in JavaScript, and I thought that method was right. So in PHP you either have to use this array push method, and you have to give that array and the variables. You want one more square bracket here, and then you can put the element on the right hand side, and it will push that element back into the array. Generally speaking, people said that square bracket notion is much faster than using array push, but I haven't tested it by myself. So this is it. I think I almost finished it. I half sleeping, I guess. Let's give it a try. User challenges, yeah, put, this is the URL. This is an update, so I'm using put base URL user challenges. I'm sending user ID and user challenge ID. So if I send, I'm marking the end date as a timestamp. So you ended your challenge on this time, and you drop. I'm changing the drop to true and is active to false. I already discussed this, why we have two variables called dropped and is active. So the dropped is when you are challenges dropped explicitly, but the is active true false can be used for when you abandon your challenge. So if you don't make any updates, you just abandon it, I will run a script and update the is active to false, but the dropped will be only touched when you update the challenge by yourself. So that is the difference between these two. So I finished it, it's working. So let's get to the next thing. So I want to tell you about this 201 creator. So I usually use 201 created status code for any create and update request, and I return that created or updated resource in the response along with the success message. This is a very good tip, because the client who expected a resource to be updated can check whether whatever they tried to update, whether that is updated or not. They don't have to make another call. So this is a good habit. I picked it up from the book called Build APIs You Won't Hate by Phil Sturgeon, I guess. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name correct. So his first name is Phil, so you get the idea. The book name is Build APIs You Won't Hate. So that is a very good book if you are working on APIs. So do give it a read. It is Laravel focused, but the concepts are very high level that you can apply to any language. So give it a read. Let's move on to the next thing. Okay, so I think I need to show you one more thing. Like I created one more response macro for this creation. If you see, I created a response macro called creator. Created it will just take your data, and the status is default 201, and it will just send it back. So that's the macro. That's what the macro does. Now so let's move that task as done. So people can drop the challenge. Now the other task at hand is we have to change the date columns into full date time format. Okay, so at a very from a memory, all other dates is using a timestamps. So this timestamp is a default date time format from Laravel. So if you use timestamp, it is just creating two columns like created at, updated at. This ID is similarly, it is a primary key. So if you use the ID function, see that we are not using like a string or anything else. If you define ID, it will just take that primary key, take that column as a primary key, name it as ID, and use it like that. Remember, token and timestamps are built-in functions and Laravel migrations, so you can use them. You don't have to do the same thing multiple times. So the only place I have dates is, I think, in the user challenges. So here I created dates manually, so I need to change them into date time format. But before that, I need to empty my current table. So terminal. I even forgot what is my database username and password. I think I shouldn't be doing this on the live stream. Okay, let me do it at a later time. For now, I will modify that date column. Okay, Laravel has two times, daytime, TZ. I think TZ stands for time zone. Let me confirm that once. Daytime versions. Okay, yeah, that's just a time zone. Let me just use daytime. The idea here is that we don't say the time zone information. I will store that dates, all dates in UTC. So when you whatever time zone you are in, your date will be stored in UTC, and when you see it, it will get converted into your actual time zone in the client side. So this is one easy way to handle time zone differences. I used to work in one application that deals with multiple time zones. It was really a mess. So after we converted all the database time into UTC and used the client side conversion to convert the UTC timestamp into clients their own localized time format, then things started getting better and we had less time managing date differences. So this is one idea that worked well from my experience. Maybe this is not the best idea, but it works for me. So do let me know in comments if you have better way to handle dates. So I converted that table daytime. Let's just quickly glance if there are any other dates. No. Okay, no. Yeah, that's it. So just commit what we did. Oh, I think I haven't committed for a long time. So I use the -p flag for adding I hope that is a good commit message. I was hoping that for some time that I'm writing a good commit messages. So let me know what you think. Yeah, it's done. Okay, let me have a note. So I finished it. Migration has been Okay, that will do. So after that, if we check the other items in the MVP, we have enable people to join the meeting of the challenge, create a timeline. Okay, I think I need to drill down into these cards and create some more cards for my tasks. These are too high level to be finished within the event time. Okay. So the next thing we can do is we can create one new endpoint called for people to update their daily progress. So this will do. So what this endpoint should accept? This should accept user ID, user challenge ID, date, time, update. This can be text. And attachment. Okay, I think I need to split the attachment into one ticket. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's validate this. So user ID is mandatory. User challenge ID is mandatory. And it should belong to the user. Date time we can get it from PHP, so we do not need to collect from user. Update, so we need to collect the update text. This cannot be empty. Okay. This is going to be a post. Let me just duplicate that. So naming the URL is difficult. So Phil, the book I referenced, speaks a great length about whether to use plural on your URL or singular on your URL, and how to set up that URLs in a way that it stays uniform across your apps. So I've been trying to follow that advice, but sometimes we not follow that. We do things without giving too much thought, but I try to do it consciously and try to follow that way. So that's why you see users challenges. So normally to go like user challenge, but the advice is there are some verbs that you have to keep as plural, but if you keep some URLs as plural and some as singular, that your consumer of your APIs will be get confused, like whether they want to stick with plural or singular. So the advice is keep everything plurals. So that's the advice here. So we need to change the URL. User challenges. Okay, they are creating a progress. I think that is good. Okay. So if we send it now, it shows 404. That is fine. Challenge ID. Okay, I forgot one more role. The challenge they are trying to be updated. It's called progress. That should do it. We need to create one more validator. Just let's call it update progress. We will add it later to Git. So we have some rules written for us already. So user ID is required and it should exist on user table. Challenge ID, we don't need the challenge ID. So let's create a route for this. ap.php. What was that? User challenges progress. Okay. User post method. These are the things I love about Laravel. Like you don't have to spend too much time on configuring things. See, this is just a route, and this is just pointing it to a controller. This might seem like a hack, but it's actually it saves you a lot of time. It can actually get to a correct class, and it will point to the correct method once you define this. And I also love this. They have that route now namespaces and prefixes, and you can group routes together. Otherwise, I have to use like users slash on every one of these route. This will get really difficult to manage once if you want to change that just the prefix alone. So APIs are like once you release the API to general public, it is like written in stone. You cannot easily change things, and if you even go to change something, you need to test it very really well. So things like this make API development a little bit easier with Laravel. So if I want to just change the prefix, I can just change it in one place, and all other routes will be preserved. So this is one thing that makes life easier. Okay, it's challenges let me just copy that method. There is nothing wrong in copying the method, just make sure that like you change the methods accordingly. You should not be like copying and duplicating something and just leaving it there. So since we copied this, we have some of the things available for us already. So for now I will just remove the things that are unrelated. According to our validation, user ID is mandatory, that is already written in the validator, so we need to change the validator here. Update progress, yeah. So this might be the danger of copy pasting. If you forget to update one thing, you will have a hard time figuring out what went wrong. So update progress, we already defined the user ID in update progress, and this is some additional rule. So I still haven't figured out how to write this custom rules. So sometimes you need the request data, like request user ID, to write this rule, but I haven't figured out how to do this inside update progress. I have an idea, like I can define this request as a dependency inside the validator, but I have to give it a try. Let's start for that. Okay, the reason I'm writing detailed notes like this is we often do context switching, right? So once it is 11 a.m. I close this thing and I go to work for my full-time job, but when you come back you need to have some context what you are trying to do. If you only add this, you will have a hard time figure out what you actually thought here. So leaving notes like this will work. Even if you spend some more time typing out notes like this, it is actually offloading a load from your brain, so you can focus on actual problems. So this is my recent idea after started working on whereami. When you are working on multiple things, it is always important to leave context on wherever possible on what you worked, why you did that, and what is next step. So that will help you pick up things later without too much of issue. Okay, so let's come back to the 10:50. Only have 9 minutes more. Okay, that's fine. So we need user charge ID is mandatory, user charge ID is mandatory, and it should belong to the user. Okay, it should belong to the user. Fine, and it should be active. Okay, it should be active. Okay, I think this will do. So we have one more thing called text. We called it progress, I think, in the request body. So progress is required, cannot be empty. Okay, this too should do it. Let's try to hit this endpoint in insomnia. No body of response. Okay, that means our response is successful. User challenge field is required. Okay, so if I type some invalid challenge ID, yeah, it is invalid. Okay, if we just select one, I think the challenge 1 is inactive and 5 is also inactive. Yeah, let's try 5. If I type 5, it should say invalid challenge. Yes, so 4, I think 4 should work. Yeah, so things work as expected. Next thing we need to figure out is what is the model. I haven't created the model for the I haven't created the model for the challenge updates, so that is on its own table. But we need to figure what is the table. Challenge updates. Okay, did it have a primary key? Challenge updates. Yeah, there is one more field I think we forgot. Skip important. Okay, whether I need to know explicitly from the user whether they skipped. And I need to know whether it should be either true or false, so I think we need to use enum for the validation. So what is the difference between in and in array? Okay, we got what we need. Okay, I think I can't do this. Expression is not allowed as a field default value. Okay, for now let's move it to that. Yeah, I think I keep doing this. I might have written the whole rules here itself. You should quickly need to find a way to declutter this. I don't like this kind of hack to together things, but that is not important. I think this should work well. So skip should be true or false. What else we have? Okay, I think that's it. The time is up. I have to leave you here. Let's meet tomorrow and try to work through the things. I will try to do the validation related refactoring on live stream. I'm really afraid to do much of coding in live stream because I'm not used to it. I admire people who can do that efficiently without worrying about others watching their code, but I still have some fear about doing it in public. I'm trying to break that. Let's see. Thanks for watching. Do share any feedback you have for me, both technically and for this streaming thing. This is not something I used to do. Thank you. And I don't have much of recording equipment or any home studio kind of thing, so pardon if there is a noise or there is a disturbance. This is the best I can do from the place I'm now. Let's try to do it better once the pandemic is over and I'm back to my workplace. Thanks for watching. Thank you. Let's meet tomorrow.